you fail, you can get back up again, but it gets real.
Yeah.
What if the failure means that you're losing your house and you're losing your marriage and you've lost all your friends?
Yeah.
And so it's very real because you're literally battling with yourself and it affects your self-esteem so bad to the point that you feel as though you have to be rebuilding. It's Natasha again, joining you for Designers of Change podcast. And of course, my co-host here, Jamar, aka Babes. Forgive us, that's our names, right?
Yes.
We are here, and this is episode 3, and we're going to be talking about something that a lot of people will be interested in, and that is failing forward.
Failing forward. Because you know what? A lot of people fear failure.
Yes.
And which in truth, failure is a springboard for innovation. Failure is a springboard for success. But if you avoid failure, you are not going to be successful in life. And guess what? Every single human being fail at something, whether we like it or not.
Absolutely. And of course, Designers of Change podcast is proudly sponsored by Jace Mary Media, Vibrant Creative Studio, also Superlative Auto, Mind Food International, Amanda's Kitchen, Jamaica, and Grace Creatives.
Yes.
So we're gonna jump straight into it. Now, what is failure? And I mean, I want us to be real down to earth and practical. What is failure?
Failure is very difficult to define because here's the thing about failure. Failure is subjective. Yes, it's subjective. What you might consider failure might not be a failure to me. For example, let us talk about this podcast. What if I have a goal for this podcast? Probably somebody, probably what they would consider a failure for their podcast would not be necessarily be a failure for my, right? And so failure can be very, very subjective. So failure comes down sometime to the individual whose lens they are looking the thing through. And so failure is personal and it is also subjective to the individual as well.
So if I were to rephrase what you just said, it's based on the individual's perspective.
Yeah,
all right.
In some
instance,
context, yes,
it's about their perspective. It's about how they feel about the situation, and also it probably it's the extent of the failure itself. But you're pretty much saying that what could be failure in Nas' eyes may be something that Jamar is celebrating on his side, right?
Yes.
But one thing we've established from the previous episode is that failure is not final, and failure is what determines what makes you successful. So the more times you fail, the higher the probability of you becoming successful.
Because if sometime you win, sometime you learn. That's what one of John C. Maxwell book. So if a person analyze his or her failure, because that's what they do in a plane crash. Every time a plane crash, they try to retrieve the black box. Where did this flight went wrong?
Right.
And they analyze it. If it's something technical, what can we improve upon it? If it was a mistake, how can we prevent this mistake from happening? And so a person who does not analyze his or her failure is going to repeat back the same thing.
Wow.
Yes, so evaluating your failure is very, very important because every time you get knocked down, you analyze while you get knocked down, then you can get back up and rephrase what you did and move forward. But if you are not analyzing or learn from your knockdown, then you're not going to win.
Right.
A football team have to analyze, why did we lose this match today?
Right.
Where did we went wrong today? How can we prevent it, and how can we move forward from the lesson that we have learned in our failures?
It's so powerful, and it leads me to ask you, what is your biggest failure?
I would say business. business. We had a failure in 2010. We were putting on a comedy show, and I think at that time we grossly overestimate what our pulling power from those people that we had put on the show. And so we were expecting about 3,000 people, because we put it at a place they call Ronnie Williams Entertainment Center. It can hold, at the time, they had 1,500 seats, and so we rent 15 more hundred seats, and that was a massive failure. We had about 200 people in the standard, and so we failed so big. Trump would say bigly. We had a bigly failure at that time at our age, and that put us in a lot of debt.
Right.
Yeah, and that put us in a lot of debt. But we had learned from that, and so that failure was one of our biggest failure at that time, because that was about 15 years ago.
15 years ago.
Yeah, now
and
we are still at university.
Okay.
So that was a massive thing. You know, it's a type of failure that makes your heart palpitate, because we were still in school, in university. We weren't working. We were a full-time student, and you know, we landed in so many debt and trying to recover from that failed comedy show.
Powerful. Now, there is a difference between failing long time and failing recently. I can tell you that. You can always look back at the failures 10 years ago and laugh, right? You may have some cute moments, but it still doesn't resonate as you would have had a very recent failure. And we shared one that we pretty much had less than 2 years ago with a business arm of ours that pretty much collapsed for numerous reasons, and that took a toll on us. And I just want to share that sometimes we will tell people that, oh, you fail, you can get back up again, but it gets real. What if the failure means that you're losing your house and you're losing your marriage and you've lost all your friends? And so it's very real, because you're literally battling with yourself, and it affects your self-esteem so bad to the point that you feel as though you have to be rebuilding. So tell me a little bit about how that recent failure affected you during that time.
I mean, first thing, when you fail big in some area of your life, it's going to affect you mentally.
Yes.
Because if you're not careful, it can allow you to stuck, as we were talking about in the previous episode, about not focusing forward. If you're not careful, because when somebody lose a lot, there's a tendency to get stuck in the past, what you have lost. And that can also lead to regret, because you said, if I've done something differently, then I wouldn't lose as much as you
did.
Yes.
Right.
But in that process, we learn so much. And it was lucky for us that we could pick ourselves up and move on. As a commercial in that watch many years ago, take a licking and keep on ticking. Because if you're going to be a true leader, and if you're going to become a person that persevere through trials, you have to take a licking and keep on ticking. I mean, there are sometimes if you are an athlete and you break your feet, you probably need to heal. But sometimes there are some injury that are not as severe that you have to play through the pain. And you must know that. Is it a severe injury where you have to heal and get up back again when you fail? Or is it one of those where you can take a licking and keep on ticking? And so some failure, you last more than others. So in some context, failure can be subjective in terms of what you lost. Because if you have somebody like Elon Musk who lost a couple million US, that's a drop in the bucket.
That's a drop in the bucket. If that were us, that would be a different thing, right?
But if you are not at that level and you lose a couple millions, that can be...
It affects you. It affects you in such a way that you want to isolate. You don't really want to be around anybody. You don't want to show up. because you pretty much feel as though your life is over.
Yeah.
And so failure is something that we have to look at seriously, but more so, as Jamar said, it's all about perception.
Yeah, and oh my God, I cut you a while ago. But we have to attach also the right perspective on failure.
Right.
Because you don't want to turn a mole into a mountain. We don't want to throw fuel on the fire. So when you fail, we want to give it the right perspective, because perspective matter. You know, David and the Israelite army, they look at Goliath in two different perspectives.
True.
When David saw Goliath, he said, my God, this guy is too big, I can't miss.
Right.
When the army look at him, he said, my God, this guy is too big, he will destroy me.
Right.
And so we have to have the right perspective and give the thing the right analysis.
Absolutely. And sometimes to get the right perspective, you need the right people around.
Yeah, and the right mindset.
Right, the right mindset. So, for
Mm-hmm.
example, while we were going through our business issue, we had a mentor who looked at us and be like, come on, guys, that's nothing.
Yes, that's, yeah.
He was like, I have way worse things going on, right?
Yes.
But we couldn't see it because we're not at his level.
At his level, yeah.
Right? And so everybody processes failure differently. Now, failure is not an event. First things
Yeah.
first. Failure is not an event. It's compounded over time. So
Yeah.
it would have been a series of mistakes,
yes.
series of errors, a series of wrong turns. And so
Yeah.
failure just doesn't happen just like that.
Yeah, it doesn't. And especially when sometimes I like to watch aviation documentary. Normally when a plane crash that is coming from a human error,
Right.
it is usually a mistake that was not corrected, but a mistake compound over a period of time that led to the crash. Now, if both pilots had found that mistake and correct it, then the
Then it
plane
could
would
have
not.
saved.
Yeah, because a lot of things that we do in life, it is the compound effect of life. Because a lot of things right now, because we live in a life that it's delayed, gratification, it's delayed. There are some things that are instant. For example, if somebody run the stoplight right now, they
Right.
might face immediate consequence.
Right.
There's a possibility of them facing an immediate consequence. But a lot of things that we do in life, it is compound.
Not like that, right?
It is not like that.
It's
For
not
example, it's not
immediately
immediate.
that-
For example, a person smokes cigarette today, 1 box of cigarette today. Chances are they are not going to develop any health issue. But if that person continue to smoke, let's say over 20 years, they smoke a box of cigarette, eventually that's going to lead to probably some chronic
Right.
illness. So failure usually sometimes compound over a period of time and give us a result that we are dissatisfied with.
Understood. But there are some things that are jumping out at me. People would think that, okay, husband and wife having a conversation, I would have heard everything that you've just said, but I'm getting gems as I sit here and we're working through. One thing you mentioned is that the athlete, sometimes when the injury is not that crucial
Yeah.
or it's not that critical,
Yeah.
they have to play through the pain.
Yes.
That is something that we need to understand, because sometimes when you're going through that season where you feel like you failed, the first thing you want to do is
Is
to
quit.
stop playing.
Yeah.
I don't want to, I'm hurt because I went to so-and-so church. I don't want to go to church anymore. Or this job, something happened, I want to quit. But you saying that we should play through the pain, it's saying that it's not over. Like the match is not done. The game is not done.
Yeah.
Don't throw in the towel prematurely.
If it's an injury, like let's say Neymar, Cristiano Ronaldo, and Messi, they have a minor toe injury, but it's every time they play, the ball touches their toe, it's painful. They probably have to take a pill or something to numb it and continue playing through. I'm not saying if somebody is riding a bicycle, drop off the bicycle, and the hand is break, they broke the hand. That person probably needs to sit out until that hand is healed to get back on another bicycle. But if it's such a minor, it's there now, the pain is there. You have to take a licking and keep on ticking. If you have a business and you're a leader and you lose one of your top clients,
right.
but you have a small client, you can't close on your
No.
business. You have to take that and continue. So there are times when you have to take a licking, and this is life, babes.
Yes, it is.
This is life. Life is going to life spare the rod for no one. And if you are a failure, then life is not for you.
Man, let me tell you.
Because you're going to fail.
And sometimes you can't even prevent how big of a hit you get in life. Life just lives.
Yeah, it is.
Sometimes you don't even get to choose your battles. It just comes at you.
Yeah, that's it.
And so I like to tell people, be careful of how you are passing judgment, because you have people who are literally sitting on the streets right now. They lived a good life.
Yeah.
Right? And they literally had a Job experience and ended up out there. Now, we don't know what we may face tomorrow, but we can at least be kind to people who are going through their season. Yes. Right?
Because that's life, and that's business, that's life. Life comes at us fast. There are a cartoon from Peanuts, and he say, sometimes I try to take life one day at a time, but he says sometimes several days attack me at once. Don't we all feel like Peanuts sometimes, trying to take life one day at its come, but one day at a time. But sometimes several days attack us at once. It feel like we are caught in a whirlstorm. That's life.
Absolutely. I have this saying, sometimes I say, boy, today I just feel like it's 3 days in one.
Yeah.
Because I'm so exhausted from all the issues. But, just before we go to the break, there's something else I want to touch on. That failure is viewed as the enemy.
No, it's not your enemy.
It's something that you don't want to go down the road. In fact, you have people who will boast to say, "Oh, I'm doing so well, and I've never gotten into that kind of trouble," and they feel good about it. Yeah. But why shouldn't we look at failure as the enemy?
Failure is not your enemy, because so many innovation comes from failing attempts.
Wow.
And because we fail at it, we know what to evaluate from it. Someone said something powerful. He said, success is a lousy teacher.
Wow.
Success is a lousy teacher. But he said failure is one of the greatest teacher there is, because if
failure and pain.
Failure and pain. Because if you can learn from it, and know what, because here's the thing, some of your greatest failure will bring you your greatest success.
My word, we've lived that, haven't we?
We've lived that.
Because after that same business arm failure, we have pivoted in such a way that we are seeing fruits we never saw while we were doing that.
Because even Coca-Cola was born through a failure.
Wow.
The founder of Coca-Cola, he was a pharmacist trying to create a pill for a headache, and he so that he create
Coca-Cola. My word.
And so there are so many things that was born out of
from failure. Many stories. Velcro, the same light bulb. We have many stories, but we want to take a break right here and come back. We still have some more pointers on failure, and we want to share too our very own designers have changed standards for bouncing back after failure. So stick and stay. You want to hear more from the Wrights, right? Because we're always right? No, we're not always right. We're not always right. Welcome back to the Designers of Change podcast, and we were talking about failing forward. It sounds like, it sounds a little weird. How can you fail forward? Well, we're teaching you exactly how you can do that. Well, we want to give a warm shout out to our sponsors who are proudly partnering with us for this amazing initiative. So we want to big up Jace Mary Media, Vibrant Creative Studio, also Mind Food International, Superlative Auto, Grace Creates, and also Amanda's Kitchen Jamaica. So, Mr. Wright, we were just on that, point about failure is not the enemy, right? Because everybody looks at failure like, we don't want to go there.
Yeah.
But failure creates beautiful things. Right? We have the light bulb because of failure.
Yes.
We have Velcro. Velcro is a very powerful story. Post-it is another powerful
because
story.
Because of failure. We have Coca-Cola.
Yes.
That was a result of a failure.
Yes. And so many other stories. What I can tell you is whenever I'm feeling down, I look back at all those failure stories. I look back at all those powerful leaders that we know today that failed greatly. And it's a reminder to me that regardless of what's happening, regardless of the situation, I can bounce back.
Yeah, there are some people in life, there are two types of people in life when it comes to failure. You have the splatter and you have the bouncer back.
All right.
Person who fail and splatter, they are like figurine. I know my grandmother used to have figurine when we were growing up. You could not touch those figurines.
If you were in the traditional Jamaican home growing up, your grandmother would be known for having what we call whatnot.
Yeah, we
and Chester drawers, and she would have these porcelain figures of whatever it is, and you can't touch them.
You can't touch them. Did I get the pronunciation figurine?
Well, the Jamaicans know what you're talking about, and I would have expressed in another way for others. Yes.
So we could not touch those,
right?
Because once we touch those and it fall off, or whatever furniture that she had in here, they would splatter.
Right.
And you can't put those back together again. You have to buy a new one. And so my grandmother, you could not touch her figurines. Now, some people are like that.
Wow.
When they fail, when they hit rock bottom, they splattered and they can't get up back again. They're like Humpty Dumpty.
Oh, my.
They sit there. Now, you have other people, they are like a rubber ball. Once they hit rock bottom, they bounce back. But I want to encourage somebody. I don't want it to be like the figurine. I know some failure might be harder than some.
Yes.
Because how can you tell somebody who probably have a business, he lost 3 houses.
Oh, my.
He probably lost his family, and for him to bounce back again, that's very difficult. As we remember that failure is subjective.
To perception.
And your perspective matter. And so, but I don't want somebody to be like a figurine. When they drop in life, they splatter and they can't get back up again. I want them to be like the rubber ball.
Right.
So when you hit rock bottom, you learn and you bounce back. And sometimes, guess what? With a rubber ball, the harder it hits rock bottom is the higher
it goes.
Higher you go. So we want you to be a rubber ball.
Right.
So that is, failure is not final.
Right.
You can't see failure as final. You must see it as temporary. It's just a detour in a greater road towards your destiny and for your purpose.
Or your greater pursuit.
Of purpose.
And the truth is, if you don't fail, you'll never find the true you.
Yeah.
Because we can be surface level for as long as things are going well.
Yeah, sir.
For as long as things are going well and there's money in your pocket, you're fine.
Yes.
And you can go buy your grocery and you can pay your bills and you can do all the things that you like to do. But we find the real you when rubber hits the road and you have nothing.
Yes.
And you have to get creative.
Yeah.
And you have to be vulnerable. And you have to, these things are so important because you'll never even know who your true friends are. Until you fail.
So failure brings out what is inside of us.
Powerful.
Failure brings out what is inside of us. Because when you fail, life squeezes us. And when life squeezes us, what is inside of us comes out of us.
Yes.
It's just like when you squeeze an orange, what is inside the orange comes out.
Right.
When you squeeze a toothpaste, what is inside the toothpaste comes out. We will never know a person until they are in difficult time. Because
until life puts pressure on you.
Because in good time, when it is sunshine, you can always have the positive talk, you are chirpy, but it's when life goes the other direction that we really see
What
because
we see who you
yeah.
are. So one of my favorite songs, I'm an R&B girl, and one of my favorite songs is "Can You Stand the Rain?" And that's, of course, you'd have to be a millennial or older to probably know this song, or you probably just have an old soul. And what I love about the song is it's literally a male saying to a female, yes, things are going great now, but when things get rocky, will you run away? And it's a question that stands for you if you're in business, in your relationships, in your personal development. Because you may be on this journey and you're doing well, but the moment you start feeling down and out, you will think the worst of yourself.
Yeah.
So it's good to have that perspective, but most importantly, understand that failure is temporary.
Yeah.
And we have to be mindful. We have to ensure that you're not taking permanent solutions to fix temporary
There you
problems.
go.
Go
I
ahead.
like that. I like what you say. Failure is temporary because in this life, nothing lasts forever.
Nothing.
Every single thing in this life has an expiration date because we live in eternity, and that is a good thing about God create. No, not eternity. Everything
In time.
everything in time change, and that's what I love about God. God create time for humanity. Can you imagine we live in eternity? And if you fail in eternity, you fail forever because nothing
Gosh.
changes in eternity. And I love what you say about never make a permanent
Decision
in
or solution.
never make a permanent decision where there's a temporary problem.
Problem, right?
And so treat failure as temporary. This too shall pass.
It shall pass.
This too shall
If
pass.
things going well right now, I'm sorry to say
This too shall
if
pass.
things are not going right, you can't pay your bills, and
This too.
exactly, it's going to pass. And so you have to always have that in your mind and know when you're in a season. It's not permanent. It's going to change. It's just a season.
Can I make one more point because
Sure.
we have a few minutes to leave. There's a thing in the Chinese that they call it the Tartar curse, and it's for people who sometimes are not failing. And the Tartar curse was that they'd say to their enemy, let them stay in one place forever. That was the curse.
That is a curse.
They said, let my enemies stay in one place forever. Because they know if their enemies stay in one place forever, they are going to rust, they are going to wither away. Because if you stay in one place forever, you are going to stagnate.
Of course.
People never say, you know what, I'm going to travel to look at a stagnant water. I'm going to take a picture beside a gutter. Do you know why? Because it's stagnant. It's not moving. It stink. But you take trip to go. You go to Dunsborough Falls. You go to Niagara Falls. You go to all of these falls because the water is moving and it is refreshing. And so when someone is not trying anything, when somebody is not failing, majority of the time they are not moving forward. That person is a stagnant person. And guess what? You fail by default.
Yes, I was just going to ask you, what about the people out there who say, okay, I'm not quitting, but I'm not trying either?
You fail by default. You fail by default because if you are not moving, if you are not growing, if you are not getting better, you are failing by default because what happens, you become stagnant. And guess what? When you become stagnant, watch this, life always changing. You move down into
Passing
decline.
you by.
Yeah, so life is passing you by. You're like a floppy disk company, right?
In a world where we are cloud.
In a world, yeah. So you're a floppy disk person trapped in a cloud world, right? So you're so behind. So you're proud of being a floppy disk, but the world has changed.
The
and
world
so you
doesn't
failing.
recognize you.
Yeah, so you're failing by default.
Wow, that is powerful. I wanted to share 2 quick tips for persons who feel as though they're failing right now and they can't see how they're going to get out of it. What can you say? 2 things to encourage them.
Learn from failure. Learn from it. Get a mentor and remain positive on think forward. Think forward. Because if you can think forward and remain positive, you can pull yourself out of a spiral going down.
Right.
Yeah. And if you have hit rock bottom, and you can look up, you can get up. Probably you need some time to heal.
Yes.
Because if somebody fall off a bicycle or a motorbike and break there, and they probably need time to heal
before trying again.
But don't let failure be what you call us, an undertaker.
Right.
Failure should never be an undertaker.
Wow.
Failure should be your stepping stone. So never allow, if you're out here today and you're listening to this podcast, never allow failure to be your undertaker. Get up again, get back in the fight, and throw a few punch. We are cheering for you. And guess what? You will get up, you will be on top of the world, because nothing in life is permanent.
Nothing is as permanent as change. And remember, you are the designer of your very own change. So you have to make that happen. I also want to add, I'm going to give my 2 tidbits, right?
Yeah.
I've been reading a Gandhi book. One of my favorite quotes is actually from Gandhi: "Be the change that you wish to see in the world." I'm still working on that. That's an everyday pursuit, right?
Yeah.
But I'm reading a book of Gandhi quotes, and Gandhi says, "The only tyrant I listen to is the still small voice within." And I hold that very close to my heart, because failure has allowed me to be exposed to a lot of criticisms.
Yeah.
And I've had to hold that dear to my heart and know that the only voice that I should give into is God's voice. And once he says that I'm destined for greatness, then it is so. And the second thing I can leave with you is to focus on your strengths. I'm not the greatest singer, but I'm one of the greatest speakers. And I will hold true to that. Yeah. So guys, again, thank you so much for tuning in to Designers of Change. Again, a big shout out to our amazing sponsors, Jason Myrie Media, Vibrant Creative Studios, also Amanda Kitchen Jamaica, Grace Creates, Superlative Auto, and of course the incredible Mind Food International.
And as we say, like the Terminator, we will be back.
Thank you for joining us for the Designers of Change podcast. Join us on the next episode.